Margaret Chen never once overdrew her bank account. Not once. In 53 years of running a household on a factory foreman's weekly wage in Cincinnati, Ohio. And her entire financial system fit inside a brown paper notebook that cost her 35 cents at the 5 and dime in 1953. That is where we are starting tonight. Not with a theory, not with a concept, with a specific woman, a specific notebook, and a specific Tuesday morning in September 1957, when Margaret sat down at her kitchen table before the breakfast dishes were washed, opened that notebook to a page divided into 4 columns and wrote down 3 lines. Bread, 19 cents. Milk, 21 cents. Butter, 43 cents. Tell me in the comments where you are watching from tonight, because this story is going to mean something different depending on whether you grew up watching someone keep a notebook like Margaret's or whether you have never seen one in your life. The notebook was not a diary. It was not a recipe book. It was a kitchen ledger, a running financial record of every dollar and every cent that passed through her household, maintained with the same precision and the same regularity as a business account. And the financial intelligence it built in Margaret over 20 years of daily use was so deep and so instinctive that she could tell you at any moment of any day exactly where she stood. That is not a superpower. That is what a notebook does when you use it consistently for long enough. And somewhere between 1957 and now, quietly, without announcement, without anyone holding a funeral, we stopped using it. And the knowledge went with it. This is not sentiment for a simpler time. The American Psychological Association's most recent data on financial stress found that money is the #1 source of stress for American adults for the 14th consecutive year. A 2024 survey by BankAmericard found that 56% of Americans cannot cover a $1,000 emergency from their savings. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau found that overdraft fees alone cost American consumers $12 billion in a single year, paid mostly by the people who could least afford them. Margaret Chen was not operating in an easier financial world. She was operating where the margin for error was smaller and where there was no credit card to absorb the consequences of a miscalculation. She was simply operating with a tool that most modern households no longer possess. The reasons go deeper than most people think. Every cent that left the household written down before the week was out. The A&P had a different price for butter than the corner store on Elm Street, and Margaret knew both prices without looking them up because she had written both down every week for 4 years. Raymond's wage covered everything the family needed, but only because Margaret ran it with the precision of a small business. The ledger was not a choice. It was the mechanism that made the margin manageable. And it built something in her, over years of daily use, that no amount of digital convenience has ever successfully replaced. The first and most fundamental function of Margaret's ledger was the simplest. It made the invisible visible. You cannot manage what you cannot see. Modern research on what behavioral economists call the pain of paying shows that cash transactions produce significantly stronger financial awareness than card or digital transactions because the physical handling of money activates the same neural systems as physical pain. Tap to Pay removes that awareness almost entirely. Margaret's ledger replicated it artificially for every transaction regardless of payment method. Every item written down was a transaction she had consciously processed and placed in the context of the week's running total. The ledger did not prevent spending. It made spending conscious. And conscious spending is the entire foundation of financial intelligence. The second function built directly on the first, and it explains something that no budgeting app has been able to replicate in 60 years of trying. Margaret Chen, after 5 years of keeping the book, did not need to look up whether this week's grocery spend was higher than usual. She knew. The way a musician knows when a note is slightly flat before consciously identifying the interval. The knowledge had moved from the ledger into her body. She could feel a week that was going to run short before it ran short. A budgeting app can show you this pattern retrospectively. The ledger built the ability to perceive it prospectively. That is the difference between using a financial tool and having financial intelligence. But the ledger was doing something beyond pattern recognition, something the research on financial behavior now identifies as the single most important predictor of long-term financial health. The third function was the ritual itself. Every Tuesday morning, same table, same chair, same time, before the dishes were washed. Research on habit formation consistently finds that the most durable financial behaviors attach to a specific ritual context, a specific time, a specific place, a specific physical action. Margaret's ledger ritual ran for decades without requiring willpower because it had become as automatic as making coffee. Modern financial advice tells people to check their banking app daily. The advice is right, but the ritual is absent. Checking an app has no physical specificity, no time anchor, no tactile component that builds the habit into the body rather than just the intention. The ledger had all three. The fourth thing the ledger was doing is the one that no modern financial tool has attempted to replicate at all. It was visible, not to the bank, to the family. For functions, visible spending, pattern recognition, weekly ritual, shared family document. But there is one more thing. The thing that explains why the most viewed money trend on social media right now is a 25-year-old decorating a paper envelope. And why she has no idea she is doing something Margaret Chen invented in Cincinnati in 1953. Stay with me. Margaret's ledger did not disappear because she stopped caring about money. It disappeared because in 1958, the Bank of America introduced the BankAmericard, the first general-purpose credit card available to ordinary American consumers. By 1970, there were over 100 million credit cards in circulation in the United States, and the credit card did not just change how people paid for things. It changed the fundamental relationship between spending and knowing. Before the BankAmericard, Margaret knew exactly how much money the household had because she had it in her hand or tracked to the cent in her notebook. After the credit card, the connection between spending and knowing was severed. You could spend money you did not yet have. Spend money without touching it. Spend and not know the total until a piece of paper arrived at the end of the month. The ledger had made spending conscious. The credit card made it abstract. You did not grow up watching someone keep a kitchen ledger. Nobody sat you down at a kitchen table on a Tuesday morning and showed you how a household works from the inside. That knowledge was supposed to be transmitted through proximity, through 18 years of living next to a document that made the household's financial reality legible to everyone inside it. The document was removed before you were born. The transmission never happened. And the anxiety you feel about money, the particular anxiety of not knowing where you are, not feeling certain, not having the instinctive awareness that Margaret Chen had on any Tuesday morning, is not a character flaw. It is a missing education. Which of Margaret's 4 functions would change your financial life most right now? Tell me honestly in the comments, because your answer might be exactly what someone else watching this video needed to read tonight. You do not need a brown paper notebook from the 5 and dime. You need 3 things. First, write down every purchase you make for 1 week in any format that requires a physical action. Do this for 7 days before you look at the total. The pattern you see will tell you more about your financial behavior than 12 months of banking app statements. Second, identify the single spending category that surprises you most when you see it written down. Not the largest, the most surprising. That is where your financial attention has been most absent. Third, pick one time each week, the same time, the same place, and review the previous 7 days against the week before. Not to judge, to know. The knowledge is the product. Margaret Chen knew that in 1953. You can know it in 2026. The notebook still costs less than $1. Echo of Yesterday has more of this to find. If this video gave you something to take to your kitchen drawer tonight, take it there. Share it with someone who needs to know where their money went. Come back next week.